Hello everyone and welcome back to the Brightworks and another match of Beyond All Reason. Today we're going to be taking a look at the beautiful crystalline peaks of Ascendancy. This is probably one of my favorite maps of all time. It's a lanes map, which means that everybody gets to fight within their own lanes. There's also an air player as well. I think there's kind of a tech spot as well. We'll talk about that in just a second here, but it's certainly one of the most beautiful skyboxes that we currently have in the game. I think everybody would be sure to agree this definitely looks the best when you zoom all the way out here and take a good wide look at this map. But let's get into the action here as we take a look at this one. I will warn you, it's a bit of a longer one, so have your drink, have your snack, have everything ready, and we'll dive right in. Spawning on the northern side, representing the red team. Ooh, a little bit of hills right there. The Slim Thick Armada Commander spawning up on the northern side of Ascendancy here. Going for a greedy start here, actually. Spawning back here and grabbing this Metal Extractor with the Commander. That takes a tremendously long time. You can see having to wait around and walk all this time. We're already about a minute into the game. Normally you'd be starting up your lab by now. Flat E forced to make the walk a shame right here. Go ahead and go for this. His lane partner over here, his opponent over here, Lucifer, going for a much more, well, I was going to say a much better start off here, but because we went for the double solar panel and the triple wind turbine, we're actually going to be on about the same scale here. So heavier metal emphasis right here for the red commander, less energy emphasis versus lower metal but higher energy emphasis here for Lucifer. That does mean units will start pumping out a whole lot quicker because those metal extractors are quite powerful. Now, spawning just south of Lucifer here, we have Choop, the blue Cortex commander, going to be leading the blue team as they get into this battle today, going to be trying to contest this mid-ground of Ascendancy. It's definitely one of the trickier lanes. It's essentially just a 1v1 raw skill versus raw skill here, so I'm glad to see that we do have scouts going out on the map. Very important to keep some good scouting information on your opponents to make sure that you're constantly keeping the right pressure in the right spot. You don't want to put your army in a bad position and suddenly you get flanked, you get surrounded, you get some sort of jump, or the enemy that is, gets some sort of jump on you and you end up in a really unfortunate situation. We do have construction vehicles moving out to capture the metal extractors. That's lovely to see. Hopefully we see similarly from Lucifer. Constructor going back to build this metal extractor. Really, that 3.0, it does give you quite a lot of metal, but the time cost alone can certainly be a hefty price to pay. Oftentimes, one of my favorite ways, I love playing this, oh, I see what we did here. Okay, I missed the transition over here, but I can tell you exactly what happened from Flat E. So what we did is Flat E went ahead and built an air lab, built a transport, and then reclaimed the air lab here. Now transporting the commander up to this northern side. Typically the Lavender commander should have, oh. Well, okay, typically two things. Typically the Lavender commander would be playing air, and typically that air commander would be contesting this with a couple of fighters up here. Very crucial that we do that here. Lucifer is going to be making the walk of shame, but it is definitely on the back foot right now because, yeah, Flat E can set up these LLTs, can start holding this area, can start locking it down, needs to set up a bot lab immediately. I would say probably one LLT directly into the lab. There we go. Yeah, starting up that lab is really important. It's a little bit of build power. It doesn't have a tremendous amount, but it does allow you to get some pawns, some ticks, even some rocketeers out eventually, and that's going to help you hold the line a whole lot better than just LLT crawling well. It's sort of your late game assurance. Not that this is surprising or should be surprising to anybody, but yeah, laboratories to produce units, very powerful stuff. Rolling out on the map, we do have a couple of these blitzes lining themselves up for a little bit of a scuffle right here against a couple of these pawns. Going to be battle over this cluster of 3.0 metal extractors, which is definitely understandable. Those 3.0 metal extractors going to be really useful for any commander that manages to keep track of them. Oh, what a beautiful fight right there. Very little low-tech fight, right? It's very T1 in nature, but it was a really nicely done bit of micro. Here, the orange commander actually doing a great job of keeping these units alive. Oh, the pawn does just barely go down, but that is all said and done. Not too bad of a trade right there. Yeah, we're trying to continuously trade out here. As the bot player, your goal is essentially to get a big enough army that you can continuously trade for portions of the vehicle player's army while reclaiming the portions that you bring down. As the vehicle player, you're essentially just trying to build your army up and up and up until eventually you can just click it across the map and go win the game with it. Very tricky indeed. Oh, interesting. We've gone for Centurions on the top side here. Yeah, so Flatty has rushed out a Centurion. It is heading directly towards the commander. If we can micro it back, this could have huge potential. Nice Deegan right there from Lucifer. Cleaning up that Centurion, opening up this lane to a little bit more aggression. Flatty moving forward here, and it's going to be an LLT duel up at this northern side. I do always like these duels with the LLTs. Feels like a hilariously static offense moment. Really quite strange. Yeah, okay, we are gonna, there we go. Nice shot right there from Flatty. We'll skirt the edge of that laser turret right there and manage to blast it down. This is for thinking about sending the forces forward here. I think when you're in this position though, and you've lost this angle, Best bet is just to go for a little bit of static defense on the back end here. Just try and pork up as much as you can. And while doing that, go for a really greedy early T3 rush. Sorry, not T3, T2 rush. Oh, Nick, moving a little too far forward. SPH Nick falls right there to a couple of pounders moving forward. Pounders and stouts working in tandem right here, sort of covering each other's weaknesses wonderfully. The stout with tons and tons of HP and a little bit more range than the pounder. The pounder, of course, very good against big swaths of enemy units. Those pawns, grunts, any of those, going to be really, really easy to dismantle. My goodness. The pounder's going on a warpath here. And this is really nice. This is some great stuff. Just like that, that entire army was taken down and the commander has fallen. We already have a constructor up here as well. We could start harvesting this metal, and you know what? I wouldn't even mind seeing a really early T2 transition. Yeah, I think Shoop could definitely afford to just go for a whole bunch of advanced solar panels and then pump out T2 really, really quickly. We're going to have this extra metal extractors as long as we keep a contest of this with these pounder tanks, and then, of course, eating up the metal from that commander is extremely valuable. This is really, really nice. Choop has the opportunity to go for a really, really huge play here. I wouldn't mind a transition either. Going into bots right now, after we've taken down the commander, wouldn't be the end of the world because, of course, those bots are a little more cost efficient just as far as putting them on the field goes. They cost a little bit less metal. And for an army that you know you're going to need mobility for, yeah, pounders, definitely not the ideal solution there. Certainly not one of the units you reach for when you need something quick. But certainly an excellent tool in the toolbox of the Cortex commanders. Oh, a little bit of a run by over here. A single goon, now on 10% HP, has managed to sneak into the backline of the blue team. There we go. Yeah, some brethren coming across the map here as well. Certainly appears that they've done a little bit of damage here. This base is kind of in ruin. You can see all these damaged buildings over here. Metal extractors, solar panels, wind turbines, all of it. Very, very low on HP, but those are exploiters. Yeah, exploiters quite good. Well, exploiter, singular. There they go. Blasting apart those goons and keeping this base safe. All said and done, I think there was probably a good enough trade right there for the green commander. Reclaiming all that, not going to be the end of the world, but certainly this is quite nice. Going for some of those tidal generators here. A bit strange to see tidal generators on an otherwise land map, but it is well worth it. 22 tidal speed means that it's a really, really efficient trade. Lucifer now going for some of those rocket bots here. Trying to contest this rather than fall back and retreat. Certainly honorable. The noble ending. Sending these Rocketeers forward, trying to, as much as possible, get them to trade out against anything that they can. Always awkward maneuvering big armies up here on the hills. There's only so much surface area to use, and oftentimes you can get caught with your pants down very easily, and you can lose your entire army to a really, really efficient connection from, say, a Janus tank that's rushed out from a lab up there, or something similar, right? Maybe just a couple of maces moving forward, which we do see here for the red player, Flat E. Shuriken gonna clean up these medium tanks, but already they've done tremendous amounts of damage. Yeah, metal extractors, 1, 2, 3 metal extractors going down right there for the pink commander. This is definitely a nightmare. Yeah, without the commander to rebuild a whole lot of this on the front line, this is definitely going to be a really difficult issue for the pink commander to solve. For the time being, though, the blue commander, Choop, just pumping out a whole bunch of these units. Ah, okay, there we go. We are going into T2. Lovely stuff. Yeah, I'm really glad to see that. Tons and tons of metal in the bank right here for the blue commander, so you can see that that metal is going to be well spent on an extremely early T2, at least for a lane map. Winning over that commander, very, very valuable right there. Lovely, lovely stuff. Continued aggression on the southern side, just good old-fashioned T1. Oh, actually, we got a cheeky little mix-up here. Tempest 905 going for the age-old bot lab into vehicle strategy. Personally a favorite of mine, although I'm terrible at playing it. Part of the reason just being that I really, really suck with the vehicles. Much more comfortable with the bots. But oftentimes this is a really great maneuver, especially for Cortex, I feel like, because you get these pounders, they can complement the one major weakness of the bots, which is that they don't have a really great AoE option. Typically the bots rely on having enough numbers to counter big spams of units, essentially outpacing, essentially being a spam themselves. That's typically the solution here, whereas the pounders just have tons of AoE and impulse on their main gun. Well, their only gun. It means that they can shut down, for instance, medium tanks, making them a very easy target for things like maces, things like aggravators, things like, well, just any of those units that particularly shine against static defenses. Wolverines to some degree too here. Nice reclaim right here from Tempest as well. Gonna D-gun down that LLT. No chance that comes up here. Schmitty Werbenjäger. A Werbenjäger. Sounds German. American logo, but I've known those to be wrong time and time again. Dovdara firing away, which is Irish, I believe. I've been corrected about this name more than a plenty of time. Apparently the BH is pronounced like a V. V. Odd. But anyway. Devdar are going to be contesting this here. Oh, we're going for some beamer turrets too. Actually on both sides. Prime has gone for some beamer turrets and some lightning turrets. Devdar remaining stoically invested in singularly the beamer turret. Not the end of the world here. Medium tanks blasting apart everything over here, but all said and done, I don't think this is really a very efficient trade. Yeah. I think I like this position not terribly right here for Prime. Considering that we're going up against 2 versus 1, I think this is probably more than efficient enough. Janus just got reclaimed right there. That's always nice. T2 Lab starts up. Not a bad idea. Choop here pushing very far forward. Using these T1 units to the best of their ability. Knowing that you've so vastly outpaced your opponent does mean, of course, oh, a little bombing run over here, by the way. Little bombing run over here, by the way. The Hot Pink Commander sent those bombers around. We didn't have an air commander. That was the investment, I suppose, that the Lavender player made, was not to go into air, instead to win that front line. And I feel like that investment hasn't really paid off, not compared to the amount of damage that these bombers are doing across the map. My goodness, this is atrocious. Bombers falling out of the sky, left, right, and center to those light anti-air turrets. But eventually, tons and tons of wind turbines falling right now. Those heavy impulse bombs and those whirlwinds do not mess around, and just like that, the Hot Pink Commander has definitely taken a huge step in bringing this game back into favor of the red team. Wind turbines way too close together right here for Dr. Cheesecake. Not the end of the world, because once T2 is out, you can start going for those fusions and whatnot, but it is certainly a little bit concerning, because once you have those, once you lose those wind turbines, you don't have the energy production to get that T2 economy up and running. Puts you in a weird spot. Where do you invest all that metal into solar panels that you can reclaim really efficiently, gives you consistent production, or do you put it back into wind turbines, which takes a whole lot longer to get up and running, and potentially stall your T2 transition quite a bit. It's a tricky problem, and I don't have a great solution. There really isn't one. Either one is going to be uncomfortable here, and it's why it was such a great play that those bombers went across the map and did that with essentially no counter right here. We should have spied, by the way, with those bombers, that there was no air player. That should be a huge flag in the mind of the Hot Pink Commander here, Dread29, to go ahead and go for a whole lot more bombing runs. It does mean that a lot of anti-air is going to be produced here as well, by the way. You may have noticed there's a lot of T1 anti-air available in the bases over there. Not the end of the world, and it does mean that bombing runs in the future are going to have a harder time staying above a lot of those bases, but certainly if you target down the right things, not going to be a problem whatsoever. Lucifer holding the line here. Flat E investing heavily in the gauntlets. My goodness. We've got 2 different gauntlets, but no radar up here. Definitely a blunder on behalf of the red commander, not realizing that there's no radar towers here. Probably getting confused because the commander has a little radar signature, so it looks like there's radar. There we go. Gauntlet flies when the scout plane, or starts firing when the scout plane fires over. The commander has a little radar signature, but it's nowhere near the radar power of an actual radar station. Means that we're not actually utilizing this thousands and thousands worth of metal that we're have already put up on the front lines. No continued energy expansion on the back of this either. We're completely reliant on this geothermal right now. Kind of a not a long-term solution to committing to this northern side. There we go. We do have some T2 moving forward. Little Weber that could moving in with the Recluse. Yeah, they find a lightning turret. Definitely uncomfortable pushing into lightning turrets. One of those things that can definitely blast apart units a whole lot quicker than you expect to. Lucifer doing a great... I hate the way these mountains jump around. Sorry about that. Sorry about that. Not a lot I can do about the camera controls as far as that goes. I guess I could switch into this mode, which is always fun. Creepy crawly spiders. Arachnophobes, look away now. Always fun to just kind of trail a random unit. Boy, this is a weird POV, huh? Spider POV. When's the last time you've crawled on a wall like that? Spider-Man, Spider-Man. I don't want to get copyright infringed. It kind of highlights the speed difference between the Weber and the Recluse here, too. Just kind of noticing that Recluse going across. Okay, I do not want to look at that anymore. Not a crazy cinematic view. That Spybot detonation over here does mean that the Hounds get an opportunity to jump on top of these Cyan tanks, and that's going to be wonderful trades. Sometimes those medium tanks can do decently against Hounds if they manage to get on top of them. It's a whole lot of if statements, but if it all turns out well, then sometimes those medium tanks can still perform against those Hounds, but not this case. Obviously, those Spybot detonations shutting down tanks quite nicely. Shutting down anything quite nicely, but in this case, certainly happens to be a whole bunch of tanks right now for our poor, unfortunate Lavender commander. Now, I'll remind you, those medium tanks that we just saw dying very efficiently right there, not pushing through the lane that had any kind of advantage, but instead pushing the lane that was already on T2, those were the trade-off for not having any air coverage whatsoever. Now, it's important to consider those investments because, of course, losing all of that means, yeah, you've effectively donated all that metal to the red team at this point, while also putting your team in a very tricky situation. No air-based anti-air. Definitely leaves you prone to bombing runs. Rocket Spiders continuing to blast away over here. Trying to avoid the D-gunnery of Flat E right here. The red commander trying to send D-guns down at those Rocket Spiders, but not having much luck. Yeah, Rocket Spider's actually able to fire back. One of the uniquenesses of the Rocket Spider, I suppose, is its ability to fire those rockets in strange terrains. There we go. Fiend is out right now, as well as a couple of Sheldon. Trying to shut down these medium tanks, and I think it will eventually. But already we can see the E-stall happening live in person right here as Devadara runs out of energy while building more build power right here. There we go. Starts up a whole bunch of T1 solar panels. Kind of the emergency panic button, but I think it's well worth it because, yeah, we've got nearly 3,000 metal in the bank and virtually no way of spending it. Southern side, tripping over my words right here. Too excited. Southern side suffering greatly. There's a tongue twister for you. Southern side suffering greatly right here as Dr. Cheesecake goes up in smoke. Was that Dr. Cheesecake? Well, that might have been Anxiety, actually. Yeah, it was Anxiety. Anxiety lying face first in the dirt after the beratement of this rattlesnake. Whittles his army down to ash and bone. Because we're going for a Navy transition. I was wondering where the metal might have been spent. Sure, a Navy transition and a vehicle lab up and running at the same time. The reason I laugh at that, of course, is because Navy is easily the most expensive of your T1 options as far as metal cost goes. Tremendously expensive. Each of these units, each destroyer here costing nearly 1,000 metal. Vehicles are the second most expensive metal cost unit composition. So the fact that we've gone into both means that certainly the Green Commander is going to be broker than broke, and indeed, 0 metal in the bank, overflowing a little bit of energy, trying to convert as much of it as possible. This is not looking good for the green team on the southern side. At the very least, there's a couple of T2 units. I'd love to see these actually get into the fight some sort of way. We are going to those T2 metal extractors here as well. Certainly want to push those out as quick as possible. Getting those T2 mexes up, I mean, think about it in terms of T1. It's 4 times the amount of production you're capable of pumping out. Definitely well worth it. Now this is strange. Pawns being knocked off the cliff and somehow finding value here. There's really no reason I can think of why pawns should be able to have any value here, but I guess if the enemy recluses blow them off the cliffside, then for the brief second that they're midair, they can point their guns towards the enemy. Wonderful. Pop-up Scorpion turret will thwart some of the advancement right here from those orange units, as long as it's not friendly firing. Medium tanks, though, have been virtually uncontested, and here they are. Prime shipping has delivered them directly to Anarchy BBK's door, and there they go, tearing apart all that precious, precious energy. Advanced solar panels under fire right now. Wind turbine's going to be receiving the back end of that in just a moment here as well. There we go. Beautiful stuff. Commander trying to shoo those tanks away, but they're just going to retreat up this back door path, headed directly towards the base of Dr. Cheesecake, who needs to start pumping out some T2 units. We do have Fiends, and we did have that big ball of Sheldon, but it looks like those have long since fallen. The Sheldon, anyway. I did see a bunch of Webbers being built right there by the Orange Commander as well. Prime going for some of those Webbers. I'm so happy that those have caught on. Super, super happy that the Webbers have caught on. My video titled, "I Told You This Unit Was Good," apparently has had some resounding effect in the community. I'm so thrilled. Okay. Tanks rolled back in. Apparently forgot that there was a commander over there. Rolled back directly into it. Oh, Anarchy BBK, though, runs out of APM at a critical moment. Oh my goodness, 0% HP. 0% HP, down to just 40 right there. With a single shot, that medium tank could have killed it. My goodness. Calling it very, very close right there, Anarchy BBK. Very close indeed. A couple of halberds rolling forward. These are laser-heavy hover tanks, assault hover tanks. They're very strange. For the metal that you pay for them, they're actually a really efficient unit, and you can see that laser beam they fire is no joke either. I don't know if it's equivalent to a heavy laser, maybe a little bit better because it can move. Well, certainly better for the fact that it can move, but also just quite powerful in general. Love the static defense in the base. It's tremendously expensive, but we also don't have the energy to fund it, so there we go. Heavy laser towers not firing at their full speed here. T2 is reclaimed. Not looking good at all right now for the Green Commander. Speaking of which, lost his commander on the front line a little while ago. Means build power is extremely tight right now. Only constructor I can see is Anxiety's amphibious constructor. A big old heavy tank push has ravaged the base over here for the hot pink player. Definitely saw that coming with their early annihilation, meaning they had no way of rebuilding their mexes on the front line, but also had no build power at home to build a sustainable army. With, well, mix that, combine it with the T2 transition onset by the blue commander very early on. The one lane that it looks like the blue team is winning right now. Everywhere else is falling quite drastically. More and more units for the red team continue to sweep in. My goodness, we've got medium tanks. Wonder what the total metal count is here. Just counting brutes right now. This is a little bit of a mixed bag. There we go. That's a little bit better. A little bit more accurate. Yeah, about 4,000 metal worth of T1 medium tanks headed across the map. My goodness, that would have been better as T2. You can imagine 4,000 metal worth of T2 units is going to be a whole lot better than 4,000 metal worth of medium tanks in virtually every measurement. Dovdara has gotten themselves up to T2 here using the power of the T1 solar panel, which I've become more acquainted with after trying to beat that common catcher scenario. Man, that's a tough one, huh? Using the power of the T1 solar panel to get themselves back into the match right here and pumping out some Jaguars, which are the right answer right here for those sprinters. Going to shut those down quite nicely, but at the end of the day, oh, Rogue D-Gun takes out the advanced metal extractor. Oh no. Anarchy BBK, you can see the trembling. You can see the slippage here. BBK's commander being dumbfired right now. Ooh, down to 19%. Very close once again. All right, sends a D-gun through that medium tank over here. Oh, gonna keep the fire up. Oh no! Follow-up shots from the heavy tanks will take down that commander, sealing the deal, I do believe, for the Seafoam Green Commander on the southern side, who's eating up his homie's base quite rapidly here. Some might reach for the BM button, and I can certainly understand why. But maybe this would be less BM if, for instance, we use these butlers and their tremendous ability to build metal extractors and hand those mexes back to the Green Commander. Maybe that would be worth it, yeah. There are ways to make that a fair engagement, a fair trade. Solar Energy has been hard at work this entire game. This is what it's all culminated in. I believe that's 7 Marauder, about 7,000 metal worth of T3 units, looking for an opportunity right here, and their opportunity is the entire southern side. You can imagine those amphibious bots would certainly make quite an impact. They decided to head down through the southern pond and into the back door of the blue team. They'll be spotted, though. They'll be spotted, though. Those fiends definitely detecting something big in the works. The bright works. Thank you. Thank you. I will be here all week. Speaking of back doors, Flat Ease is completely wide open. Never a good time when your back door is completely wide open. All your mexes are exposed and your solar panels are flapping in the wind. There we go. I guess your wind turbines flap in the wind more than your solar panels do, huh? Either way, it's about to hurt in the back door right here for the red commander. Flat E as a bunch of fiends push in here and shut down all these metal extractors. Mind you, these were not the T2 metal extractors, but it still hurts to lose 3.1 metal extractors. It's 9.3 by my rough calculation worth of metal extractors. It's going to be really, really annoying to lose all that production right there. Shoop trying to de-gun down some of these Marauder right here, catching 2 of them, I do believe. The rest of them managed to retreat in time. There's a Mammoth out as well, which is going to be a slow but steady way of blasting down these Marauder. Obviously, the Marauder have the superpower of being able to run away. Probably the best superpower that the Marauder has, actually, is its incredible mobility. The ability to move around the map, certainly an often neglected and underutilized factor to a lot of units in this game. Easy to, what is that called? Tunnel vision. Easy to tunnel vision when you have been fighting the same opponent over and over again, when realistically there were easier lanes. North, south, up, down, over, under. Ways to get into the enemy backline and do way more damage than otherwise you would have. Like, for instance, once again, sending these Marauder down south right here, where already the red team has practically won it. I mean, we do technically still have the last bastion of green kind over here, holding steady, but not for very long. We never grabbed these metal extractors either. With the tremendous naval advantage, we never even got these metal extractors. A bit strange. Can't tell exactly what the idea was there. Now again, without the air player, it does mean we do have another player pumping units out to the field. We're going for a advanced fusion reactor and T3 units at the same time. I'll let you in on a little secret though, Modak. This T3 experimental gantry costing 8,400 metal, it'll pay for the rest of that fusion reactor. Once you have the fusion reactor up, you can afford a T3 gantry, no sweat. It's great. It's great. It's one of life's treats. Now this is nice. Nuke rising into the air like the phoenix in the night, offering sweet salvation to our blue hero up on this northern side. My goodness, that's a lot of salamanders as well. Slowly crawling their way up here, but I don't think it's gonna matter as it all goes boom in a thermonuclear detonation, sending the red player straight back to the Stone Ages. My goodness, the Stone Ages indeed. T1 solar panels, 35 energy, 0 metal per second right there for Flat E. That burns quite badly. Very, very tricky indeed. Rocket Spiders were here to try and contest all this, and it would have been a difficult fight here just moments ago. But with this lane completely wide open at this point, should be no trouble for those Reclaim Spiders to move forward, eat up this T2 lab, shut down all the constructors, and secure well this northern side over here. The Blue Commander's still setting up static defenses over here, which is quite nice. Yeah, we've got the Mammoth Wall, which is quite good at deflecting those Marauder. You can see there's only a couple of them left, only one of them left, really. Always a good idea to use those Marauder in virtually any extent you can, except for frontline combat. They don't have the strength for it. Not their speciality. Hover tanks coming across. Hover tanks versus Navy, thumbs down. Hover tanks against, well, specifically halberd hover tanks against virtually anything else, big old double thumbs up. Heavy tanks about to hit like a house full of bricks, collapsing down on top of the Green Commander. No reinvestment on the backside of this either. So this will be the last bastion of green falling right here. And we've entered ourselves into a nice little race. We do have reinforcements heading down south here, but the bombers, again, completely uncontested. No air forces available, so there's no way to shoot these out of the air aside from anti-air force. And we do have the Jaguars doing a great job of that, shooting down those bombers whenever they can. But certainly would be in everybody's benefit to start throwing down some AA towers all over the place. Looks like we do have an air lab, by the way, from the Green Commander. Gonna have those fighters up and running eventually here. My goodness, the amount of bombers headed across right here. These are the Dam Buster bombers. They drop a, well, you'll see it in just a second here. They drop a strange little cluster of bombs. Makes them extremely good against precise single targets. There you go, beautifully done. Detonating that fusion reactor instantaneously for Anarchy BBK. Shutting down the vast majority of the energy production right now for this commander, who was resurrected, by the way. Brought back from the dead to serve once more. Okay, we're dumbfiring these now. We'd love to see a fight commander, any other kind of command. Here come the bombers. We have the anti-air bots. Sort of a desperation move when you start sending in the anti-air bots. Flat E pushed to be a single pawn in the mountain. There we go. Beautifully done. Sorry, zipped around the map right there. Wanted to see these sharpshooters in action. We do actually have quite a few of them. Yeah, those sharpshooters are actually putting in quite a bit of work. Oh, another big nuke right there. Just watched on the map take out this entire base in the back line. My goodness, the devastation is immense. How did that... Oh, did we... Oh, I know exactly what happened there. So, okay, hold on. I gotta pause to explain this. This is a cheeky little move you can do if you ever have nukes. Now, this is just lucky, I'm pretty sure. But basically what happened right here was the nuke was actually targeted to this location back here. And what happened is, because of the way that the nuke went up in the sky and then came down like this, it actually collided with the mountain right here, or that hill right there. That's why we didn't trigger the anti-nukes. It's why that nuke was able to squeak through. Feels a little bit like a glitch, right? Feels not so much, for instance, like it should be, you know, like it feels cheated to where the nuke actually collided right here. but it actually didn't get shot down by the anti-nukes. Maybe there's a way that they can fix that in some sort of an update to the anti-nuke system, but anyways, that's why we just saw the entire brown base go up in smoke right there. I was a little surprised because we had anti-nukes up and running, but that makes sense how we were able to actually squeak that nuke through. Now with the red commander wiped out of the northern side right here, it means that these rocket spiders are once again extremely useful. They're going to start marching their way across towards the hot pink player's base. Very vulnerable to attacks from the mountains. Obviously, there's not a lot of units that can capitalize on that sort of thing, but rocket spiders, certainly one of the best there is. Sharpshooters continuing to blast away over here. We've hit that number where they start to become efficient in their own right. They can just kind of blast away anything that they end up fighting against. Oh, we don't have sharpshooters, or pinpointers though, do we? Ooh, I don't see them. Oh, we do have pinpointers. Oh, okay, those sharpshooters are just bad, I guess. Sharpshooters not doing their job and missing their shots right there. Here we go. The rocket spiders taking down the base of Dread 29, or at the very least the fusion reactors of Dread 29. Going to be effectively the same thing right here as, well, you know what? I guess we did go into quite a few fusion reactors. That is one of the nice things about the fusion reactor build as opposed to the advanced fusion reactor build. You're not so liable to self-destructive chain reaction. This is going to be quite the shock right here for the blue team. Quite the shock indeed. About a dozen half-tank, well, exactly a dozen, exactly a dozen heavy tanks moving in right here. It's been a long day, folks. Heavy tanks moving in right here for the green commander, Dr. Cheesecake. Gonna suddenly find his base beset upon by a whole bunch of these tiger tanks. Double twin Gauss cannons firing away, ready to take down whatever they can. The nukes launching as quick as they can before that launcher will fall. Fusion reactor pops. Fiends running backwards into the base right here to try and deal with this. We were too busy building anti-air to deal with those medium, or those heavy tanks, pardon me. Understandable. The Manticore must survive. There we go. Another nuke across the map. Boom goes the base of Dread 29. One more bites the dust. That's 3 huge nuclear connections right now. Isn't gonna matter though. We have 5 Razorbacks moving towards the blue player's base. Starts up a couple of Scorpion turrets. A little too late. Oh no. This always hurts. Hurts to have the Razorbacks push into your base like this when there's essentially nothing you can do. Scorpion turret gonna start firing away. But I fear that already the destruction has been more potent than the blue player can handle. Apparently we're not gonna finish the job though. Oh, there we go. All right, splitting off 2 of those Razorbacks to go finish off those Aphises. Probably a good idea. My goodness, what a turnaround on a turnaround on a turnaround. That first nuke to free up this northern side was tremendous. Second nuke to wipe out the player in brown here, who was the major tech lead for the red team. Obviously a huge gamble. Those nukes can oftentimes find an anti-nuke and fizzle out quite easily. But we managed to land it. We managed to land it well into high priority bases. Just like that, this match is still dead even, folks. Wind turbines popping left, right, and center. Shutting down vast swaths of energy production here for the blue team, at the very least. Demon almost finished. Demon does beat Razorback, as if this were rock, paper, scissors. However, oh, Commander beats it too. Commander, oh no. Well, Commander with no APM definitely doesn't beat it. Oh, 0% HP, 31 health remaining on this Aphis. I thought for sure I was about to say boom. As the Lavender Commander's base, yeah, 0.0% HP right there. My goodness. Cataphract's now firing away at sharpshooters, who are trying to find any way to fire, get some value here, push through as much as possible. Counter nukage from the yellow commander on the southern side will take out the blue player's base. My goodness, these commanders on each other's teams, they're at each other's throats. This is beautiful. This is what Beyond All Reason is all about. Pitbull's still up and standing right now, gonna be firing away at whatever they can. Sharpshooters, definitely an efficient thing for Pitbulls to take down. Move out, cries the purple commander, loudly and with much violence. Cataphracts, ironically, a really good option against T3. Default Cataphracts, that is, I suppose. These D-guns right here from Prime. Saving the day with a couple D-guns. Trying to shut down these rocket spiders. Nicely done by the brown commander, by the way. Rebuilding into this match from scraps. Now, one thing I'll say is that this northern side feels a little bit unclaimed. Choop has done a fabulous job of claiming all these metal extractors. getting all this up and running, essentially moving from the right-hand side of the map to the left-hand side. Not really even out of this game yet. We need a lot more power production, but aside from that, gonna have more than enough metal production to still contribute to this battlefield. Similarly, Lucifer feels like could be investing a little heavier in claiming these metal extractors. I mean, a single T2 constructor marching forward with a couple of butlers grabs you these valuable metal extractors, allows you to scale your economy, doubling your economy effectively. If you ever have the option to double your economy, 100% you should take it. Juno missiles flying across the map. The last of the green base here, kind of just firing away idly. A lot of these bombers, okay. There we go. Bombers will deploy their payload right here on top of these ships. The Dam Buster is quite funny. Their bombs skip across the water. I wonder if that's in reference to the bouncing bomb. You guys ever hear about that? What a strange contraption that was. Designed to be dropped out of a plane and then bounce across the top of water. Effectively an oil drum. Oh, another nuke right there. Effectively an oil drum that was meant to, meant to bounce on the water until it collided with a dam. Feel free to go look that one up if you got some free time. It's a strange one. I'm gonna go ahead and speed this one up as we near the end of this match right here. So many Manticores have been built. My goodness, what an investment. 11 Manticores, 7,000 metal worth of mobile anti-air units. Is it even worth it though, is the question. I mean, I suppose they're mobile, and the mobility is quite powerful. It does lend you quite a lot. Banisher's here to try and clean this up. Those are proper Cargonets. I don't know what else they would be other than proper Cargonets, but just highlighting the fact that Cargonets are quite powerful. Effectively the Razorback of Cortex. Sometimes people get mad at me for making that comparison, but it's true. And you know it's true. You're just mad that it's true. Razorback now blasting apart the base over here. Taking advantage of the lack of T3 coming out of the backline right now. We do have the Marauder being pumped out right now, but Marauder against Razorback is always a dubious proposition at best. Boom goes the base right there for Prime. Lovely, lovely stuff. Just the right amount of force at just the right spot at just the right time, and you end up with something like that. Heavy tanks also being shut down. Yes, Scorpion turrets quite powerful. My goodness, the nukes landing just outside of the anti-nuke range. We had a single anti-nuke built right here for all these players, but it doesn't really save you because, of course, the AoE on those nukes is tremendous as well. So it takes quite a bit more than just a single nuke or a single anti-nuke to cover everybody. I keep seeing this red pawn on the map up here. On the map and just wondering what it's going to be able to do. There goes Prime. Loses his commander, and I think that'll be the end of his base. Demon blasting apart a Cargoneth here as well. You know what? I forgot about the Demon. All right, maybe a caveat to my Cargoneth equal Razorback, which isn't true. Isn't what I was saying, by the way. It's the equivalent, but not equal to, which is different words. I hope that's clear. Maybe that's not. Anti-nuke will fire away over here. Thank goodness the Powder Blue commander has remembered to include an anti-nuke. It is bothering me more and more that we're not upgrading these metal extractors to T2 though. Either way, not the end of the world. Well, at least not for the blue team. Holding strong as ever. Cargonets up on the high ground. My goodness, back and forth and back and forth. Bombers tearing down the T3 facility right here for Dufdara. We have the Cargonet tearing apart the T3 right here for Tempest. We have a Demon in the backline right now, blasting apart, setting a flame and a light to everything the Brown Commander once held near and dear here. We have Hounds going down as well. This is really tricky. I mean, Scorpion turrets at the very least going to clean up this Demon, I do believe. But this line has effectively been opened. Now we only need to send some troops down that direction. Anti-nuke set up right here by Choop. Very wise. Easy to forget when you're rebuilding to include some of those anti-nukes. Cargoneth taking down the anti-nuke. Oh no. Anti-nuke is taken down. Do we have the play? Oh no, we don't have a nuke charged. Oh no. Nuke wasn't charged right there. If a nuke could fire across the map right now, I'm certain that Soccer Wiz would absolutely plop it right in the middle of this massive facility of blue, well, of green and purple on the other side of the map. Not one charged up at the time being. Not gonna matter though. Yeah, bombers headed across the map. Tremendous metal deficit here for the blue team at this point. Flak turrets finally set up and shooting those seaplane bombers out of the sky, as many of them as possible. Chainsaw also putting in tremendous work. It is bomb resistant, one of the few things that has a true resistance in this game. It is a bomb resistant tower. Marauder gonna finish off that fusion reactor after the bombers do some good work right there. I see a Juggernaut on the map, as too does Chube, the blue team leader. The hollow core of a blue base. Nothing left but the T2 lab left in shambles here. A little bit of anti-air and a smidge of static defense. Everyone and their mother trying desperately to find the right angle to push into. Probably one of the reasons why Bar is such a difficult game to get into is because at this stage in the game, how do you practice for this? How do you practice for this other than playing these kinds of matches? Pitbull's gonna be more than happy to blast apart a bunch of Sheldon here. These Sheldon are definitely overstepping. Radar jammer bot, cleans all this up, makes it a very slow but also a very efficient process. You don't lose any of your Sheldon. I don't like that whatsoever. Throwing those Sheldon seems unnecessary right now. No reason we couldn't get a couple of rocket spiders across though. Nuke is firing away. Oh, we're gonna fire the nuke up towards here. Anti-nuke is still not completed over here for this player on the southern side. Yeah, would have liked to see that nuke put on the southern side right there. Don't know if it's gonna matter though. More Tiger tanks trying to push through. We found ourselves in that situation where the commanders are attacking each other's armies but not each other's bases. Part of that is because the bases obviously aren't located in their traditional positions. Makes it very difficult to figure out exactly where the enemy's base is going to be and where you should strike to. Juggernaut having a field day against these rocket spiders. Not even scuffing the armor plating of this bad boy. 15,000 health. Sorry, 150,000 health on that Juggernaut. More than enough to blast away spiders for days and days and days. Shiva doing a great amount of AoE damage against these heavy tanks, softening them up before they get to the static defense, which is kind of nice. Lessening the workload right here on a lot of these units as these tanks continue to stream forward. My goodness. What a egregious waste of metal right there. Both teams clawing for the victory, trying desperately to find a solution here. There's two solutions that I can think of. One of which would be a big Marauder rush, which we don't really have the tech for, by the way. Yeah, no T3. We're going for a whole lot of eco in the backline right now for the Powder Blue Commander Lucifer. We're going for a whole lot of different stuff. I think ultimately, at the end of the day, it's going to come down to who can think a little bit more outside of the box. There we go. A couple of rocket spiders moving across. Certainly well worth it. Rocket spiders and their accompanying Weber spiders, the EMP spiders. And I like it quite a lot. I think those make a wonderful wombo combo. At least in my experience, they certainly have. Question is, what are we going to target over here? Juggernaut slowly making its way across the map here. That's another option for breaking this static defense line. A defense line which has gone unbroken up until now, despite our best heavy tanks. Despite massive investment in heavy tanks. None so far have managed to pierce the veil, so definitely a little bit of a strange moment. This is also odd. Some reason Prime still has a radar bot and has found it navigated to behind enemy lines, well behind enemy lines. This is not a spy bot. Yeah, I was gonna say Fiends would be more than capable of destroying that. There we go. Okay. Raining on Prime's parade right there. Certainly a bummer for the poor Orange Commander who's trying his best. Love the metal investment that we have right here from the red team, though. You can see the Maroon and Yellow Commanders have both done a great time, or great job, pardon me, of claiming all of these metal extractors over on the southern side. And it's netted them a nice little metal advantage, now up by about 100 metal per second. Finally, anti-nukes start catching those nukes. Always a bit of a bummer when that happens. Well, if you're the one who invested in that nuclear launcher. Typically, at least in the higher level lobbies, typically the nuclear launchers, as soon as the first nuke goes up, if not before that, most of the map is covered in anti-nukes. As long as I'm not playing, I guess, is the caveat there. The blue team here with 3 commanders remaining. The red team with just 2. We're going for a tactical missile launcher over here, which is quite cheeky. The rocket spiders blasting apart whatever they can over here as well. Juggernaut in the base has already gotten too close. There we go. Cheesecake will de-gun it apart, but so much of that production has been lost. Not the end of the world here for the blue team. Still hanging on by a thread. My goodness. Fiend's marching into the base over here. It's you punch me in the face and I'll punch you in the face, and it's just gonna see who knocks out first. Both teams continuing to hit each other as hard as they can, and neither one seeming to be able to find a lethal opening right now. I think certainly Lucifer could close this game out, though. As one of the few commanders who has effectively been untouched here this entire game, I think there's definitely an angle to close this out. Oh, okay, we're going for Thors in the back line. I was thinking going for a whole bunch of bombers and sending those across. But yeah, I suppose Thors works pretty good, too. Sorry, just missed that on this side, but the missiles finally fired over here. They managed to fire just before the heavy tanks rolled in. I'll go ahead and slow this back down again. Caught myself speed running here, but didn't actually. Missed a big boom right there. Certainly every boom counts at this stage in the game when there's only so many players left and so many bases left. Those aphises going down right here for Schmitty Verbenjäger. Definitely costing quite a lot. How on earth are we gonna stop this, though? We do have a whole bunch of grunts running forward right now, by the way. We've set up a cheeky little spam Latori over here on this right-hand side. Couple of yellow pawns, or yellow grunts, pardon me, moving their way across. There's not a whole lot of static defense over here, actually. So yeah, certainly could get some value. Gonna start moving into the back line. At this point, neither team wants to admit defeat, though. They fought for this victory, and they fought hard for it. Gonna go ahead and speed this up one more time. Juggernaut heading across the map at this point. How does this Juggernaut not win the game right here? Remember, and beyond all reason, the win condition is killing the enemy commanders. Oh, no. Another D-gun. And another Juggernaut down. My goodness. We're going after the bases, but the commander are wide open. Completely exposed. Oh. There we go. Cheesecake will eventually be surrounded and go down right there. Leaving two commanders remaining. Shoop and Lucifer, both up on the high ground right there. Bombers certainly could snipe if we only did a little bit of scouting right here. Even the meagerest bit of scouting, we could probably find those commanders. Demons marching across the map, though. Getting so much value. Yeah, despite it all, I mean, despite the bombers, despite the juggernauts, despite the running grunts sprinting forward to their doom, the blue team is still finding angles to continue pushing forward here. Tremendous. Another nuke launched over there. Not left over there to nuke, though, so not much left, that is. Bombers continuing to shut down the base. At some point, you have to stop and think to yourself, well, maybe we're thinking about this game wrong. Maybe we're targeting the wrong thing here. Certainly, it would be worth the consideration right now for the Maroon Commander, thinking maybe it's time that we start trying to snipe commanders rather than trying to blow up bases. What does the scouting look like? I am so curious. Yeah, okay. Sort of goes to show why the red team is a little confused, why the blue team hasn't tapped out of this fight yet. We see the T3. We see some of the T2 over here, but we have no information about this tremendous base that the blue player has set up over on the northern side. Highlighting why these players are still sticking around in this game. The blue players, that is. The red team must think they have such a tremendous advantage, when realistically, because the blue team has been on top of capturing their metal extractors, because they've been on top, oppositely, well, similarly, of upgrading those metal extractors, it means that they're actually still in a fabulous economic spot. In fact, a better economic spot than the red team here. Not to mention all the bases that have slowly been going down. Demons over here, if only they would march forward. Similar lack of scouting, I feel. Well, not really, actually. Yeah, actually, why aren't we pulling the trigger here? We know the aphises are over on this side. Soccer Wiz sends a nuke across the map. Gunships up in the sky, blasting apart a couple of those Thors. There goes the nuke across the map, and boom goes the base right there. Hard fought for is Dr. Cheesecake's main facility, and just like that, the Green Commander loses all of their hard work. Behemoth here, pretty good at everything. High damage, high health, rapid rate of fire. We have got to send these demons forward. March. Bombers continuing to come across over here. He's dead. He's already dead. There we go. We got a spam of units coming out right now from the Powder Blue Commander. It's gonna come down to Lucifer and Shoop here to manage to win this game for the blue team. The red team trying to push forward with whatever scraps of T3 they still have. Luckily, the yellow base is still looking quite nice. But man, we've run out of space to eco here. The Maroon Commander has done a fabulous job of building a naval economy. We do have tons and tons of fusion reactors. Wouldn't mind seeing more production here, maybe eating up some of these T1 energy converters and instead swapping them out for just a little bit more build power and some more air production right here. Demons are going to jump on top. I mean, there's plenty of demons to win this fight right here for the Blue Commander, but there's basically no reason for them to fight. You know, kind of an awkward battle, the demons. Gunships up in the air as well. It is a lot of gunships. T2 fighters trying their best as well, but the seaplanes will eventually mop most of this up. There's not very many swarmers, though. Soccer Wiz's commander is found. Oh, the base is in peril. We do have static defense over here, though. Oh, those E-converters were so close to popping. We're just sending them in the wrong direction. All the units are being sent in the wrong direction here. Again, Karganeth being sent up to this, or rightwards to this dead base already. Scorpion turrets blasting apart demons. Juggernaut, likewise, having an easy time blasting apart demons. At least we have a spam going across the map here. Thor is blasting apart all of the economy. Well, not all of the economy, but a large portion of the static defense up on the forward side right here. The demon, or not the demon, the Juggernaut a little bit out of position. There are two of them. Not bad. What does a Thor do to a Juggernaut? Is that about 3%? 2 to 3% on a Juggernaut? Not bad. What's really impressive about that, though, is that a sharpshooter ends up doing, what, something like 1 to 2% per shot? So it means that a sharpshooter and a Thor have relatively similar damage profiles, which is pretty impressive. Obviously, the Thor quite a bit more capable than a sharpshooter. EMP missiles. Unlimited health pool. Oh, Soccer Wiz going for the D-gun of all D-guns. Never mind. There we go. Okay, well, a little bit of a strange interaction right there, but there we go. Juggernauts smacking each other in the face with their shotgun cannons. Always funny to watch this go down. Just a ridiculous battle. Wailing on each other with essentially no end. But finally the tick stream has made it in. My goodness, the static defense is potent here. Devastators in mass right now for the Maroon Commander, who refuse to get out on land. Obviously, you can go for a T3 gantry, a amphibious gantry, if you feel so inclined just to build some of those powerful units. Maroon Commander more than happy not to, though. There we go. Finally, we build a Ragnarok and put it up on the mountains, and that's finally what wins this game. And my goodness, what a monster of a match right there. Back and forth and back and forth and back and forth again. Going all the way, with virtually every commander losing their base here. I think the only commander that didn't lose their entire production facility was Lucifer up here in the mountains and the Maroon Commander down here on the southern side. But what a spectacular match. Thanks a ton if you made it this far. I know it was quite a long one, so I do appreciate each and every one of you. Sure hope you enjoyed it, and I sure hope you have a great rest of your day, and I will see you in the very next game of Beyond All Reason. Peace out, everybody.